You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me.
Yes, it is Unsealed. Welcome back to the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Christopher Manta is me. You are you. Hopefully you're my brother or sister in Christ. It's really the only thing that matters. If you're not, today's the day. Yes. Okay. We have done episodes now over a year. Many, not all, but many have touched on a subject that Christians don't like to talk about. We just don't. I mean, generally speaking, we don't. We like to ignore it or think we know everything there is to know, or we are completely at a loss to why we should care. It's bizarre. I definitely don't get that, any of those opinions, but here we are. And most people probably know. Let's get right into it. By the way, please do support this podcast. We do need your help. This is a private operation. There's no support or money coming from anywhere else other than you and me doing it together. So go to Patreon. We have a Patreon page up. It's baby level right now, but there are some things there you can do. Patreon.com/Wings of the Eagle, or just support the podcast directly. Go to wingsoftheeagle.com/support Unsealed. Easy as you can make it, right? So everything would be extremely welcome. Thank you for that. Share this, by the way, on video on YouTube. If you won't do any of that other stuff, just share this, please. Every single person watching, just share it. Thank you. It's not that hard, is it? Literally one click or tap. Boom, shared. Right. So most people know why July 13th was a major day in American history. Most people don't know the other reason why the same day was. Obviously, we had an assassination attempt that day against a former president and a candidate again, which is obviously major news and major bad, major evil. And thank God it didn't succeed. But obviously that has led to a lot of consequences. Even how many days later is this? 12 days later, the Secret Service director has already quit. Should have been fired, of course, but quit is acceptable, I guess. And there'll be apparently hearings in the Congress how this is even possible, because this Secret Service that's supposed to protect these VIPs obviously is still on the job. And there's, not only Mr. Trump, but Mr. Biden, Mrs. Harris, Mr. Kennedy. They're all under Secret Service protection right now, so it could still get very, very ugly and bad. But that wasn't the only thing to happen that day, and it's not the only consequential thing. It's the headline of one of the really great accounts to follow. If you're on the X platform, is Marek van Rinkamp. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. He's an actual reporter with actual guts. And he used to work in the government, and now he just breaks stories, and he's really does not give up. And this is his phrase. This is one of the most astounding days in American history, July 13th. He pointed out, and is correct, because it was the same day of the assassination attempt that a bill that was put forth by two of the most powerful senators in the country, in fact, the number one most powerful one, and who is Chuck Schumer, and Mr. Rounds. And they tried it last year, and it was basically killed. It was gutted. It was the teeth were taken out of it by the time it went through the House and the Senate, and the Pentagon got through with it. And we know that's a fact now. It's come out that Arrow specifically didn't want this stuff in there, and they just listened. How stupid. Of course, the Pentagon's not going to police itself. Arrow's part of the Pentagon. And even to the point where Secretary of Defense, oh my gosh, why is his name slipping my mind right now? Mattis, not Gates. Where am I going to? Oh my gosh, the guy who had cancer. What the heck? Anyway, he was very, very vocal about killing it, about not having this thing passed last year, and they were, I guess, just hoping that it would go away, but it's not, thankfully. All right, now I'm going to bring up the link to the best article you can read about it, which is a man named Christopher Sharp in the UK. He writes for the Daily Mail in the UK, and he also has his own project called Liberation Times right there. There's the headline. U.S. senators push again for groundbreaking law to unveil non-human intelligence. These are not idiots. These are not lightweights, backbenchers, people looking for attention, or anything like that. And they're also not making things up. And they're also not going on stuff that probably isn't true. They're putting their careers on the line now twice with Schumer and Rounds. And as of 2 days ago, Kirsten Gillibrand also has signed on as a sponsor of this legislation, which is called the UAP Defense Authorization, or no, there it is, Disclosure Act, UAP Disclosure Act. This came out on the 13th of July. Schumer and Rounds, and now Gillibrand, and maybe others, maybe Rubio will sign on to this too, to put some real weight behind it. Hopefully the White House gets involved, if they care, which to this point they haven't. And they might not, but just want to read a little bit of it to you. Two influential U.S. senators, Mike Rounds and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, like I said, he's the most powerful senator in America, have revived their UAP Act, which would directly involve the next president in a process that could reveal that Earth is being engaged by an advanced non-human intelligence. What? For real? Yeah, that's what it says. This process could reveal that U.S. government and defense contractors possess these entities' craft, which are, according to the act, capable of transmedium travel, instantaneous acceleration, hypersonic speeds, and positive lift. These, especially together, those characteristics are not something human vehicles can do. Or that we know how to do. Both senators, Schumer from the Democratic Party and Rounds from the Republican, so that's bipartisan. Okay? It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. It has nothing to do with who's the president or any of that. I know most Americans now have tuned out because it doesn't have anything to do with Trump or Biden or Harris. Oh, what? It's not. I can't attack any one of them over this. I'm not interested. You better be interested. Everybody on Earth should read this act. Everyone. Anyway, it's both parties resurrected the UAP Disclosure Act following its gutting from last year's NDAA conference process, which is what I just said a second ago. If the act is passed, the president would appoint 9 impartial citizens with Senate consent to a newly established UAP Records Review Board. Some people aren't crazy about that idea. I don't know if I am either, but I don't know what a better idea is. Because these are outside of the government people, which God knows we need that. Okay. The board would oversee the collection, review, and public disclosure of UAP records and has the authority to examine materials, solicit testimonies, and gather additional witnesses and whistleblowers. The establishment of the review board would prevent government agencies and individuals accused of involvement with illegal UAP programs from investigating and exonerating themselves. Thank you. This board would eliminate their direct influence over the government's current UAP office, ARROW, a practice multiple sources have reported to Liberation Times. That's, again, this site here by Christopher Sharp. The president, not this board, the president would also make the final decisions regarding the disclosure or postponement of records related to UAP, provide written justifications for any postponements. And so we're not going to only know what was not revealed, but why, I guess, and ensure periodic review and declassification of those postponed records. The reintroduction of the act, which intended to be included within the NDAA for 2025, could be considered a major rebuke for ARROW, yes, which concluded in February that it, quote, found no empirical evidence for claims the U.S. government and private companies have been reverse engineering extraterrestrial technology. First of all, there's a reason why they said extraterrestrial. It's their way out. It's legalese. It's legalese. And notice every single time, notice every single time, whether it's ARROW or some other dismissive voice from the government or private industry or a debunker on the internet, every one of them will say extraterrestrial or ET or alien. Ask yourself why they are saying that word. It's for a reason. It's, first of all, to try to mock anyone who thinks this is a serious problem, to dismiss and obscure the truth of the matter, which is that I have never seen anyone claim in any legislation or whistleblowers, I mean, that from Grush or anything else, they are careful to say, we don't know if it's extraterrestrial. We don't know where their origins are. So by saying stupid things like, oh, there's no evidence that it's extraterrestrial, you want to smack them around. You think we're stupid. You think we're stupid. They think you're an idiot, Americans and other people, citizens. They think you're dumb. They think they can pull the wool over your eyes. Or maybe you're one of these people that agrees with them and says, oh, aliens or extraterrestrials must be false. Well, first of all, again, we don't even know that yet. We're not even there yet. Can we get to at least the physical things that we've gotten in our possession, regardless of who created it or where their origins are? Can we just agree that there is stuff? And then there's a giant multi-decade secret kept from the world, from America specifically, illegally, not reported to the Congress, not paid for by money that we know where it's going. All that stuff. People have been killed. People have been threatened. All illegal. All of it illegal. Because we have stuff from somewhere or someone else. That seems to be a fact. All the evidence says that. All of it. That explains every behavior and overclassification and stupid lies over the years from our military and from our intelligence people and from our private companies. All of it. By the way, feel free to make a comment, ask a question, make a suggestion, or what have you here if you're watching live on YouTube or X, even Facebook. Even though I'm not a big fan of Facebook right now. Anyways, sharing further, I just want to show you one more part. Yes, they are rebuking the ARROW office because they know they're lying. Let me get to here we go. This is noteworthy when considering the language itself that's in there. The definition of, it uses the word non-human intelligence. This is in legislation. It's not just on the internet. It's not from whatever, talking heads or people with no accountability. These are the top U.S. senator in America saying in legislation that they want to pass, not just to put out there and have it fail, because it's now twice they've done this. The definition of non-human intelligence in the act is defined as, okay, so just in case we're thinking it's talking about, I don't know, dolphins or AI systems, the definition of non-human intelligence is defined as any sentient, intelligent, non-human life form, regardless of nature or ultimate origin. This is what I'm talking about when you say aliens or extraterrestrials. Stop it with that crap. Okay? Regardless of nature or ultimate origin, where they're actually from is not important. It's irrelevant, really, right now for this. The point is, because we know we have stuff, doesn't matter what the nature of it is or the ultimate origin that may be presumed responsible for unidentified anomalous phenomena. So what it's saying, this sentient, intelligent, non-human life form behind UAPs, behind UFOs. That's what non-human intelligence means in the legal or legislative sense. Governmentally, when you hear the words or letters NHI, this is what they're talking about. The sentient, thinking, alive life forms, no matter what their nature or origin is, if they're behind UAPs, creation, driving of them, anything has to do with them, but it's not human. Don't tell me it's American tech. Don't tell me it's Russian or Chinese. Get out of here. They know it's not. Or UAP, or of which the federal government has become aware. So it's covering, I love that, because it's covering all the bases. Okay? All the bases. Whether it's UAP or not, if you know about some other non-human intelligence, sentient human life forms that you've discovered, you got to tell us about it regardless. Thanks to this act, okay? Or this legislation. Another noteworthy term is technologies of unknown origin. Now, people say, there's no UFOs in the hangar or whatever. Even though that may be actually a thing. But technologies of unknown origin defined as materials or metamaterials. In other words, combinations or materials we don't know what they are, which we do have. Ejecta, what's that? Physical material that has fallen off or been ejected out of some craft or machine or whatever you want to call it that has come into possession of a person, and we know that has happened. That's why it's in there. Materials, ejecta, crash, debris. That means something crashed. It doesn't mean it's an accident. It doesn't mean anything of the source of the crash. It just means something crashed. Whether we brought it down, whether it brought itself down, whether there was a dog fight and it came down. Crash, debris, mechanisms, machinery, equipment, assemblies or sub-assemblies, engineering models or processes. So it's not just the actual things. It's talking about if you've learned anything from these technologies, that you have now a new process of making something, you have to reveal that as we didn't come up with that. Processes damaged or intact aerospace vehicles. There you go. Okay. Yes. If you have a crashed UFO, whether it's broken or in one piece, you have to reveal it. Why would they write this? They know something is up. Aerospace vehicles and damaged or intact ocean surface or undersea craft associated with unidentified anomalous phenomena. So not only UFOs in the sky, and this is what your debunkers never talk about, how about the ones in the water? Because they're in the water. How about the ones on the surface of the water, like what we would call a boat or a ship? Or how come they're flying from one medium to the next? Do we have any submarines that can fly into space? I don't know of any. Okay. Damage or intact ocean surface and undersea crafts. Again, like this is because they know how the military operates. They know that the secrecy around this would say, oh well, if all the legislation said was aerospace vehicles, damaged or intact aerospace vehicles, but the military really did have an intact craft under the water, they could legally say, nope, we don't have any of those vehicles because you said aerospace. And on the secrecy goes. That's why they have to put this in here, because they know there's more than one thing or option. And intact ocean surface and undersea crafts associated with UAP or incorporating science and technology that lacks prosaic attribution or known means of human manufacture. In other words, not even just the stuff. You not only have to produce the stuff that you have, but explain how you created something new. Or like if there is, like, let's say, some secret American tech that can do things that we don't understand how physics would allow for it, but we own it and we built it and here it is. Oh, well, that's your explanation for UFOs. No, wait a minute. This is saying, no. If you actually got that, whatever you're using and you built yourself, if you came with the idea of it, or you incorporated some technology or understanding of science that came from this non-human tech, you have to tell us that too. That lacks prosaic attribution or no means of human manufacture, like not just a craft, but the metamaterials. Even that. Even Arrow, if you read between the lines, they when they just came out with this, again, mealy-mouthed explanation of they examined some material in the molten how. I mean, anyways, they examined it and said, well, it's not extraterrestrial. Again, what's wrong with you? How did it get made? They said, we don't know how it was made. That doesn't mean anything to anyone. We don't know how it was made. We're the flippin' Pentagon. We have DARPA. We have the most advanced tech in the history of man. And we don't know how they made this piece of metal. Go look at Arrow. They said that. We don't know what it could be used for, but it's from materials from the earth. It's very frustrating, isn't it? Okay, maybe they are from the earth. So doesn't mean you made it. Doesn't mean humans made it. But it was manufactured by somebody. And last time I checked, the material in space and on other planets and on other moons has the same materials that are here. Most of the stuff is the same. Anyways, I'm just saying that's a non-answer to anyone who's paying attention. Okay. That might be the only part I wanted to show you. Let's see here. Or the last part. Liberation Times understands that there are multiple, again, this is not guesswork. I know this. Chris Sharp, who's writing this, by the way, I don't personally recommend Patreon subscriptions or whatever, but I am a patron of Chris Sharp because I know he's a regular guy with a young family just trying to do this because he knows it's true. He's talked to a lot of folks, and when he says we understand this to be true, he means it. Liberation Times understands that there are multiple UAP retrieval operations associated with various circumstances and locations, including at sea and in contested territories. In other words, between countries or in war zones or in, let's say it crashes in China and we don't want the Chinese to get it. We go in there, we meaning America, or we meaning the NATO or partners with UK and Australia or something like that. According to sources, these operations heavily involve the CIA's Directorate of Operations and Directorate of Science and Technology. Multiple sources have told Liberation Times this clause being eminent domain. This clause has caused significant controversy among defense contractors, which are believed to possess technologies of unknown or non-human origin. It is believed that the clause was a large factor leading to the gutting last year. Under the plan, any materials or biological evidence of unknown or non-human origin would be subject to the power of eminent domain exercised by the U.S. federal government. Okay, and you can read the rest. It's right there. You can go to liberationtimes.com and click on the U.S. Senator's push for groundbreaking law. Here's the front page right now. There's been 2 stories since then. Okay? And there's tons of awesome stuff about it. 5 Eyes. What's that? Here's America, Canada, Great Britain, Australia, New Zealand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are your primary crash collection locations or governments. Okay. But we know Russia and China have them too. Anyways, enough of that. Okay. There's the final point of this, the eminent domain thing. Some folks, like private people, like the Skinwalker Ranch people, like Travis Taylor, and some other folks were flipping out. Oh, you can't give the government eminent domain. Every time we hear, even Ross Coulthard's like, oh, I don't, why do we need to do that? Well, guys, I'm not a big government proponent of anything, okay? I'm not about the government taking stuff that doesn't belong to them, but this would belong to them. Us as a country. We're not taking somebody's land for in California because we don't like their skin color. You have to force the issue. If companies who own illegal stuff or unannounced stuff or stuff that you're writing a law now because they're not forcing it, they're not handing it over willingly, they're not volunteering it, they're not allowing their employees to talk about it, they're signing NDAs at the threat of death and imprisonment. This is not right. So if you're not going to do it, we're going to have to do it for you. Because you don't own this, right? Lockheed Martin, I don't know, Raytheon, down the line, whatever contractors, whatever private companies you want to list, they don't own UFOs. And or whatever they are. UAPs, NHI tech, whatever. The NHI bodies, for all we know. You don't own that. You don't get to say it's my stuff. Even if, which is nothing but greed and human avarice, is, oh, well, we were given this stuff, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, and we made our own stuff out of it, so we get to keep all of it, and it's our property. You don't get to know any of that. That's how we got it. Bull. Sorry, no. Okay? There's no other way to do. Eminent domain is your last resort because it is the last resort. It is time for the last resort. No one's volunteering it. We're seeing like, was it Coulthart did their last podcast title was History Repeats Itself or something like that. Because, yeah, we're seeing the same thing spin over and over and over. It gets, oh my gosh, people are finding stuff out. Let's tamp that down. Let's tamp that down. Oh, it starts more stuff to come out. Let's tamp that down. And it's just cyclical over and over and over. They think, and it's part of this. Please go read this whole thing. Go read the legislation yourself. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to some talking heads. Don't listen to debunkers, certainly, who have no interest in facts at all. Go read it. And you'll see exactly what is being talked about. And why things like the eminent domain matter or need to be used. Whistleblower protections. There's a whole nother piece of legislation about the whistleblower protections aren't adequate right now. They're not. Because as soon as you throw on a SAP, secret access or secure access program, and it's waived and unacknowledged and all that crud, the whistleblower has no place to go. It's a secret program. We can't say nothing about it. Even if they come out and say it's illegal. Sorry, can't admit it exists. It's unacknowledged. What can you do about that? Right? That's a big problem. So, yeah. Oh, there's one more thing I wanted to show y'all. Well, if you're just listening, I apologize. But talking about this date of July 13th. Let me show you something else. Remember, so we had obviously this legislation introduced that day and also an assassination attempt. Well, what do they have to do with each other than the date? Well, there's this. There is the scene, literally, right as it happened. Trump is down on the stage. The Secret Service is surrounding him, making sure he's alive, trying to get him out of there. You see the dude with the guns all around, right? That's obviously that's the scene. That's the date. This is real. And look it up in the sky. You got there, a little orb. Weird. I saw that. I've seen that. If you don't, exactly 4 weeks before this picture, I saw one in New Jersey. I told you about, I did a podcast about it. You can go listen to it if you want. I saw that. I'm not the only one. And there's lots of them. Okay. I'm not saying there's one orb flying around in the world. There's a lot, apparently. But that is exactly what I saw. And there's more other angle. There's a close-up. And again, if it's not right on top of you, it's hard to say exactly what shape it's in and whatnot. Maybe it's not a perfect ball or sphere, but from the distance from the ground, that's what it looks like. And also, I won't play the video, even though it's going to play right here. Maybe we can play it. That's too small. Anyway, you see there's an actual disc shape, if you can see it. There it is. There's a little disc this is right at the rally. There's the big flag hanging over the stage area, and there's your flying disc zipping by, and right behind it, there's something else. There's an orb. There. Wait, pause. There. So, okay. This is not AI. This is not made up. I just want you to be aware that it's not made up. It's serious. It's happening. And it's overlapping. And now I'm not going to say that I'm not drawing any, connection necessarily between the attempt on Mr. Trump's life or maybe the unsuccessful nature of the attempt. Would that have to do with the orb that you saw? I'm not saying that today. I'm just not saying that right now because we don't know. But boy, it would be nice to take it seriously, wouldn't it? It would be nice to admit the truth. I believe, again, another title of Unsealed a couple months ago was I believe what's true. Believe what's true. Don't let anyone shame you into saying what you saw with your eyeballs didn't happen. You're not a crazy person. I'm not a crazy person. I know what I saw last month with my own eyeballs. And yeah, I understand videos are funny nowadays, especially nowadays with AI. But guess what? These are older videos. Almost everything I've seen before AI existed. And you go back to old school, like decades ago pictures of UFOs, and you're finding orbs in them too that we never noticed before. So it's not a creation of modern fakery. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. I'm not saying there's no such thing as fakes. Of course there are. And there have been. But always, if you really are serious as a from a historical point of view, I don't want to even a scientific study, if you want to actually look at evidence, if you want to actually look at claims and pictures and documents and yada yada, and the people who've looked into it, the most serious attempts ever, always have produced, depending on the study, but basically somewhere between 15 and 30% always is unidentified. So yeah, most of it 60, 70, 80 plus 85% you can explain. That's consistent. I'm not interested in that. I don't care if it's 1% that you can't explain. And if it's always happening and it's over long periods of time, and now we see that, well, wait a minute, we know more than we've said. At a governmental level, we are actually admitting these are unidentified. When the Pentagon in 2017, in 2018, 19, 20, when they came out and said, oh yeah, these leaked videos from the gimbal and the go fast and the tic tac, that whole thing, they actually are real. They're not ours. We don't know what they are. You don't believe that? You don't believe that? It's a huge admission. Actually, we don't know. That's where all this started from. If you never got an admission, it'd be impossible to start this thing up. But that really, well, now wait a second. You have actually good people in the Department of Defense, the CIA, whatever, actually do care about telling the truth. Some of them actually care. Some don't, clearly, but some really do. And they're like, well, yeah, actually, this is real. I worked on it. I saw that. I was there. I saw the paperwork on this. I saw my stuff confiscated. I saw, my career was lost. Or whatever. Consistent stuff like that. And then for the Pentagon itself to say, yeah, that video that got leaked, unfortunately leaked, is true. Or it's real. We don't know what it is. It's not a secret tech. We didn't build that. Oh, what are you going to do? Okay. Anyway, guys. So just to summarize, yes, July 13th, it was only 12 days ago now, was one of the most important, impactful, astounding dates in American history. if you're being objective about it, it is. It is. So history is happening right now. I know a lot of folks are, oh, I don't like history, it's boring. History is happening all around you right now. And we're in like the Bible says, tumultuous times or difficult times. Yes. Perilous. The King James, perilous times. Yeah, it's peril. It's peril, but super interesting. Okay, not boring. Super interesting. And you are not to dismiss these things, especially, again, as a Christian if you've had a UFO sighting, go to wingsoftheeagle.com/unsealed. There's a form there. Go tell me about it if you don't want to tell nobody else. But we can't ignore it anymore. We can't say it's spiritual when there's actual parts and pieces. Or we can't say it's just this or that. We have to admit the truth of the matter, no matter what the truth is. Right? Okay. And we know that as a Christian, yes, God's in control. Jesus is on the throne, no matter what. No matter what. So why are you afraid? Don't be afraid. Interesting times, friends. All right, that's it. So that's the date that you should keep in mind and get a conversation started. Please share this podcast with someone you know or just on your channel. Again, the YouTube link to Wings of the Eagle is the one to share. Please, that's the most helpful. It has the biggest audience, subscribers and stuff. So tell somebody, share it, give if you can. Go to the Patreon page or wingsoftheeagle.com/support. Unsealed. And that's it for today, I believe. Been on long enough, so no one's got anything. I'm going to call it a day. And don't miss out on what's happening. Be an active participant in the world. And we got some more interesting things to come, I'm sure. All right, friends. Till next time. Wings of the Eagle. Christopher, your pal, signing off. Bye-bye.